Do not worry about a thing, sir. I have insurance. So if this goes bad, I'm going to be okay. All right, guys, so where you come in, on the count of 3, don't clap for me, clap for Mr. Swanberg. He's putting his life on the line for your viewing pleasure, and your Instagram, and your YouTube channel. There it is. 1, 2, 3, go crazy! All right, you gotta wait for that number 3. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. And make some noise! You see that? God puts His Spirit in you. And I know for some of you this sounds weird. I'm going to share my story in just a second. But that is where the change begins. And we begin to have a relationship with God, and we begin to know the purpose and the plan that God has for us in the here and now and in the not yet to come. That's the kingdom of God. Here's my story. I was 20 years old. Myself to sleep. I couldn't find satisfaction in skating or anything that was around me. My relationships, all of it was failing. And finally, one night I hit rock bottom. And what rock bottom looked like for me is where I got to a place where I didn't even want to live anymore. I began to entertain the idea of taking a pistol and putting it to my head and ending my life. And that's when I got scared. When those thoughts came to the forefront, man, it freaked me out. And guys, I'll even say it in a different way. I got to a place where they don't make enough drugs to shove in your body to numb that kind of pain. I got to a place where there's not enough alcohol to drown out that kind of sorrow, man. I got to a place of such brokenness and hopelessness. And it happened to be on a Wednesday night. Because when I remember this freak out moment occurred. And all these things came to a head, and I got into my car. And I remember, because it was a Wednesday night, where I grew up, there was a church service going on. And all I knew was I'm going to just go to a building with a cross on it. And if God's real, hopefully He shows up tonight. I didn't know any better. I never been to a place like that. But this is what happened. I got into my car, and I remember I drove to a building, or a parking lot of a building with a cross on it. I still remember parking my car in that lot, looking at that building and that cross, and thinking to myself, on any other night, at any other time, I would have looked at the cross in that building, and all that I had thought it had stood for up until that point, and I would have laughed at it. I would have thought to myself, I'm not about to get some religion or some rules in my life. But this night, it was different. And I internalized these words right here. I said, God, if you're out there and you hear me, last chance, I do not know what I'm going to do with my life after this. And I still remember getting out of my car. I walked across this parking lot. I went inside this building. I sat in the very back row. And there was a guy up front with his Bible open. It was a pastor. And I remember for the first time sitting there as I'm listening in to every word, trying to hang on to every word as best as I could. And not trying to be critical of a message or pick it apart. Man, I'm desperate at this point. I'm like, God, if you're real, show up, do something. And the guy's up front, he's ultra passionate, he's moving his tone up and down. He sounds like he really believes what he's saying, and I'm in. I'm like, okay, I'm really trying to listen. And finally, I remember he was closing his Bible and ending that time. I didn't know they called that a service, but that's what they call that time. And they were closing out what they call the service. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, what's this? That's it? I'm going home. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. But then right then and there, a genuine miracle took place in my life.